This is CBC Vancouver News.
Cocaine controversy.
It is not a permission to sell it commercially or provide it on an open market.
The Prime Minister says a BC company cannot sell cocaine to the public, but it can produce it. Managing risks.
I think we need to understand that also people voluntarily participate in these activities and it's their choice.
We learn more about the victims in BC's latest deadly avalanche. And shocked dogs.
I threw myself down onto the ground and then I could feel electricity.
A warning for pet owners after several animals get an unexpected electric shock. Good evening, I'm Janella Hamilton. Thanks for joining us. We begin with a BC cannabis company is under fire after announcing it obtained a license to produce and sell cocaine. The Prime Minister and other politicians are accusing the company of publishing misleading information. As John Hernandez reports, the company can make the drug, but only for research.
I find it more than a little bit frustrating.
It's been a confusing week for BC's Premier, who claims Ottawa went over his head.
We're going to get answers for British Columbians from Health Canada.
The saga started last week when BC cannabis producer Adastra Labs issued a questionable press release. It appeared to suggest the company had Health Canada approval to legally possess, produce, sell, and distribute cocaine on the open market, a move that left BC's Premier stunned.
The short answer is that I was astonished by this announcement.
Today, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau offered some much-needed clarity, noting the company will only be able to produce and sell for research purposes.
It is not a permission to sell it commercially or provide it on an open market. We are working very quickly with this company to correct the misunderstanding that their press release has caused.
The company then issued a retraction confirming Trudeau's remarks, the whole ordeal leaving the BC Premier perplexed once again.
I think that Health Canada needs to have a serious look at what they're doing. I think they have to have a serious look at this company and the license they've issued to a company that would issue an irresponsible press release like this.
Despite all the confusion, Adastra Labs has seen its share prices surge, rising from 70 cents to $1.33 this week alone. Securities experts say the company's original vague announcement was likely an attempt to drive investment.
It is common practice for small cap companies to use scintillating language to get investors interested in trading their stock.
While controversial, substance use researchers say Adastra Labs' cocaine license is notable for being one of the first of its kind, and it could be part of a growing movement toward a safer supply of the drug.
As we explore different alternatives to get people access to a regulated and predictable drug supply, there's going to be a need for sourcing out those substances.
But there's no guarantees this company will be the one to usher in the change. John Hernandez, CBC News, Vancouver.
An update now on the deadly avalanche near Invermere. CBC News has confirmed the 3 men killed were German citizens. And while the risk of avalanches in the area remains high, Avalanche Canada says it has no intention to regulate access to BC's backcountry. CBC's Belle Puri has a closer look at the dangers and what it's like to live through an avalanche.
3, 2, 1, dropping. Yeah, buddy.
The thrill of skiing BC's backcountry is as legendary as it is unpredictable.
Ooh. Oh, tomahawk, avalanche, avalanche.
This footage, taken as an unexpected wall of snow thunders down a mountain, was captured by a film crew out to shoot a promotional video.
I just remember being under with snow getting shoved down my throat.
So far, this winter, a dozen people have died in BC backcountry avalanches.
Our operators are being super conservative. They're not skiing terrain that they would normally ski. You know, even with that, we're seeing avalanches that are moving in fairly low gradient terrain.
Heliski operators say it's impossible to eliminate 100% of the risk.
Every guest wears a pack with a probe, shovel, and also has a radio in the pack.
Avalanche Canada issues condition bulletins twice a day.
Yes, 12 is a number. It's 12 too many. But let's not overreact here and close the backcountry because we think it's going to fix the problem. I think we need to understand that also people voluntarily participate in these activities, and it's their choice.
You all right?
The video is now used to bring awareness about avalanche risk in the backcountry.
It was a big avalanche, but it wasn't a huge avalanche. But if it pushes you into something, that can be enough to really injure you or kill you. So
I was able to move my head and my arm was kind of here. I was able to go like this, kind of move snow across my face and push my head out just so I could see the sky. And I saw the sky and I was like, I could have cried. You just never expect it to really happen.
Backcountry enthusiasts say that's part of the thrill. Going into the mountains, you never know what's going to happen. Belle Puri, CBC News, Vancouver.
This week's deadly avalanche near Invermere is certainly resonating with many people and once again raising concerns about dangerous conditions in the backcountry. 12 people have now been killed by slides in BC so far this year. Forecasters have compared conditions to 2003 when 25 people were killed, among them 7 Calgary area teens who died in a slide in Glacier National Park near Revelstoke. That prompted Parks Canada to ban school groups from some trails, led to new danger rating systems and to the creation of Avalanche Canada. Among those 7 victims from 2003 was 15-year-old Daniel Arado. His parents say the latest avalanche deaths bring back painful memories.
I think that there's a lot that has to change. I think their culture of safety has to change. I think this assumption that the mountain guides are infallible and that you can predict avalanches, which you cannot. I mean, there's some level of science involved, but it's maybe 50%. The other 50% is totally unknown. I think that they are continuing to ignore the fact that they need to change. There's significant change that has to happen in their culture, in their systems, in their process, and in their people.
Yesterday on Cypress Mountain, emergency rescue crews were deployed to help save a backcountry skier. North Shore Rescue says the skier was on the backside of Mount Strachan when he got caught in a small slough and pushed into a tree, breaking his femur. Crews pulled him out by air. A second call occurred later that day for a missing snowboarder. She was eventually found and hiked out with crews using snowshoes. Well, a heads up if you're planning to travel to or from the BC interior this weekend. The Coquihalla Highway is closed until at least tomorrow afternoon between Hope and Merritt after more than 2 feet of snow fell. This was the view along the highway throughout the day today. The Ministry of Transportation says it is planning avalanche control along the stretch Saturday morning, weather permitting, of course. Maintenance crews and equipment will be there to clear the highway to then try to get it reopened. You can still use highways 1 and 3. 3 men were taken to hospital last night after what Vancouver police call a triple stabbing in the entertainment district. Officers say 3 men in their 20s got into an argument that turned violent. All 3 were taken to hospital with stab wounds. They are expected to survive. It happened near Nelson and Granville last night. The 3 men know each other. With anyone with information is asked to contact police. We have a warning for Metro Vancouver dog owners after 2 animals got an unexpected electric shock on city sidewalks. As Yasmin Gandam reports, engineers say the snow and salt can increase the chance of danger.
I mean, it was just the most traumatic thing I've ever seen.
Teresa Bouchard is the proud parent of Benny, a 5-year-old, almost 200-pound Leon Berger pup. But she was terrified when he started yelping and thrashing after being electrocuted on the sidewalk last Saturday night in West Vancouver.
So I threw myself down onto the ground, and then I could feel electricity. some kind of electrical thing happening, and I thought maybe it was related to the salt.
Park Royal says electricians found the cause to be a broken ground wire. They say it's now been repaired. But this electrical engineer says salt and snow pose an increased risk to animals as they act as perfect electricity conductors.
Lots of water there and people sprinkling salt everywhere. So that can increase the probability, and if there was a ground fault, what could happen is the pet experiences the energy from that ground fault, and those incidents happen.
The mall has offered to pay Benny's vet bills, but his ordeal is not unique. 3-year-old Titan was shocked after stepping on the metal cover of an underground junction box in downtown Vancouver Tuesday.
It was mayhem. It was a freak accident.
Titan was out for a walk with a friend at the time.
And I just kept thinking, oh my God, Lindsay is like waiting for her dog, and I can't imagine, this, like, please don't die.
Titan survived, but it came with a $1,000 vet bill. City staff say they identified old wiring as the cause and have fixed the fault, but other dog lovers are worried.
There were some pylons and some tape around it, and then I went back the next day and it was all taken down. So it's just, and there's dirt put over the metal grate, or the metal plate on the ground, and the dirt's all gone now too.
And Bouchard is urging pet parents to be very careful.
So tragic. You don't want to see it ever again.
You're advised to keep your animals away from metal grates and have them wear boots when possible. Yasmin Gandam, CBC News, Vancouver.
The province has announced $250 million to upgrade the Iona wastewater treatment plant in Richmond.
750,000 Metro Vancouver residents, including me and my family, and probably many of the people that are here in this room today. We can be honest that wastewater doesn't necessarily grab headlines unless things go wrong. It is something that we rely on without necessarily it being front of mind. Every time we take a shower, every time we flush a toilet, our wastewater needs to be treated before it's released back into waterways.
The upgrades will accommodate the growing volume of wastewater as Metro Vancouver's population grows. The province says the goal is to make the facility more resilient to earthquakes, climate change, and sea level rise. After 2 years of pandemic cancellations, Hobiyee has returned to the PNE, the traditional Nishka event celebrating the new year, marking tradition and a new season of harvest. Our Janella Hamilton was there.
We're here at the PNE Forum, where it is literally packed with Indigenous people. Literally packed to the rafters. And that's a beautiful thing to see. Everyone's here to celebrate Hobiyee 2023, the first Hobiyee since before the pandemic. Here in Vancouver. Hobiyee is a Nishka ceremony. It involves the last crescent moon of February. If the crescent moon is open, that means the coming year's harvest is going to be good. If the crescent moon is closed, the harvest, not so much. The original Hobiyee is celebrated in the Nass Valley, and it involves mostly Nishka people and some other northern tribes. The Hobiyee in Vancouver, I tongue-in-cheek refer to as the mother of all Hobiyees. It is a big Hobiyee that involves multi-First Nations giving cultural performances, such as we're seeing this weekend. There are First Nations here from Seattle, here in the Lower Mainland, Vancouver Island, the interior, and the north, and of course, the urban Nishka dancers. Hobiyee goes tonight till 9:30. It goes again tomorrow, Saturday, from 9:30 until 9:30. For CBC Vancouver, I'm Janella Hamilton at Hobiyee.
And for a group of elementary school students, Hobiyee was a chance to learn more about Nishka people, tradition, and culture.
I'm really excited and everything because every year it always made me just feel good, and the energy it's just the nice energy, like hearing everybody sing, dance, seeing everybody in our culture have fun and whatnot. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Look around, it's really nice. And you get to see it up in person, and it's really nice and beautiful. You get to see people dance, you get to go up and dance, do more things, you get to participate in dancing, jump, all those types of things, yeah.
It's a lot to me to be here because I've always grown up around potlatches and powwows, and to be here means a lot to me, and I've gotten to not only speak to my creator, my God, before I got here, but he's also told me that I am on the right path.
To another big celebration, rugby fans in BC are rejoicing this weekend as the annual Sevens tournament kicked off in Vancouver today. And for the first time ever, the women's event is under the same roof. As Joel Ballard reports, athletes say it's a step toward equity.
Welcome to the kids, Team Ireland and
Rugby Sevens is back in its usual hard-hitting fashion. And this year, the women are sharing center stage.
It is the way the series is moving forward. All of the events will be equitable, 12 men's teams, 12 women's teams.
For years, a separate, smaller tournament was held on Vancouver Island for the women. A popular event, but there was less exposure than at BC Place, where roughly 70,000 fans normally show up.
Yeah, I think it's a really great representation of, the growth of Rugby Sevens and the equality of men's and women's sports internationally.
Looking at the crowd, you may notice the average age of the fans is trending a little younger than usual. Around 7,000 school-aged kids were invited for the first half of Friday's tournament for free.
And who knows who we've got sitting in the stands. Maybe in a few years' time, we've got the next men or women's Sevens national team players sitting up there.
The first match of the event for the Canadians didn't go exactly as planned, but it wasn't without its highlights.
Canada with a real chance down the left edge. Outstanding play, and what a finish for Wardley.
For this try scorer, the significance of this level of exposure in front of this audience isn't lost on her.
I mean, when I was growing up, I didn't really have that much rugby to look up to. It's definitely a pathstone for, grassroots rugby to get involved and for them to, look up to us to want to play rugby.
Still, some say rugby has a long way to go to reach true gender equity, like paying all of the players on the women's 15s team.
That is a big gap in our sports system in Canada, is how can we pay all women to compete competitively, not just the Sevens program, but our 15s program as well.
Over the 3-day weekend, teams from around the world will duke it out for the top spot. Joel Ballard, CBC News, Vancouver.
After the break, we'll learn more about a sit-down with Prince Harry tomorrow for a conversation about childhood trauma and healing. Thanks for staying with us during our commercial-free live stream. It started as a personal challenge. Every day in November, a New Brunswick woman went for a swim in a lake or river. Some days she'd swim alone. Other days, a few brave souls would join her. As time went on, she kept on going, wading through the icy waters every other day.
My name is Jenny Spinney, and I've been jumping in cold water for the last few months. I come to the lake or wherever I could find open water and submerge myself for up to 10 minutes to feel good, as strange as it sounds. I prefer to do it alone. It is very peaceful. As strange as that sounds, I usually will face the woods if I can and just, I don't know, it's really hard to explain, but it's a very peaceful feeling once you just relax and are calm and you just focus on one thing. You're in the water and you're focused on that. Morning swims, even though I hadn't eaten, and I don't know if it's because I was rested or what, but my morning swims, I found I could stay in longer. I used to time them all, it was interesting, right? Now I just kind of go till I'm like, okay, I feel a little cold, I'll get out. you know, I'm sure it looks ridiculous, but it until you've done it. And like, I got off work at 4 and came here, and you know, I had the busyness of the day in my head and rush. Right now, I just feel amazing. And that's what I have to do to get there.
A Vancouver physician and trauma expert will be sitting down with Prince Harry tomorrow for a live stream conversation about childhood trauma and healing. The CBC's Gloria Makarenko spoke with the trauma expert earlier today about what the prince is going through.
What I'm interested in is the life experience of a human being, and he was a traumatized child. This was a very dysfunctional family. That's not news to anybody who's read his book or watched The Crown or knows anything about the life history of Harry and his brother William. So for me, the interest is what happens to human beings when, from the beginning of their lives, they're put under stress and continue to live under stress, and how do they heal from the impacts of that? The real issue here is, and I think a genuinely inspiring aspect of his book is, here's a human being who's trying to break out of the role that was thrust into in order to actually become himself. And that's very common in life. You don't have to be royalty to be seen by your family as fulfilling a certain role, meeting certain expectations, without regard to who you really are as an individual human being.
Here we have a live shot of Georgia Street. Johanna will have your full forecast coming up next.
Friday night at the Chan Center. A sold-out show and an expectant crowd.
These are two of the greatest musicians for jazz that are still living, you know. Incredibly historical figures in jazz music, so hearing them play together will be a very special evening.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime chance, I think, to see two amazing performers from the past before I was born.
Herbie Hancock and Wayne Shorter have occupied the forefront of great jazz for nearly 40 years. And throughout that time, they've maintained their creativity and their grace.
It's really beautiful. Very beautiful theater. Thank you very much for inviting Wayne and myself. Thank you.
This concert is special for more reasons than one. These rare birds don't land here often, and they don't usually travel as a pair. They're promoting their latest release, 1+1, a duet recording as beautiful as it is unconventional.
What's your name?
Even fellow musician Joni Mitchell is enough of a fan to make not only the show, but the cramped CD signing.
Oh, well, I gotta be here because I gotta sign. We got one coming.
1+1 is a thoughtful and passionate recording. Theirs is a sound that soothes the soul, a welcome glimpse into the musical minds of a couple of jazz masters.
You know what it signifies to me? The incomprehensibility of all this in life itself. And this music is like a reflection to me of that. It's elusive, and so are we.
But the truth of the matter is that the best way to understand many things in life and in music is allow oneself to experience the flow. In that experience, we begin to understand the true essence of what that thing is about.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox.
On March 29th, join Leanne Young at the Zilly Cares Conversation on Care, a mental health fundraiser with special guests Dr. Gabor Mate and Dr. Mariam Zainadin. Get your tickets at zillycare.com. And never miss a special programming series, event, or contest. Subscribe to CBC Vancouver's e-newsletter at cbc.ca/Vancouver inbox and keep connected with us.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace, installing the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train.
Well, Joe, this week started off much different than what I was seeing today. We have had all types of weather this week.
No kidding, Janella. Literally everything but the kitchen sink, including hail, graupel, sunshine, snow, rain, and we've got a few more days of the mixed bag. It's all thanks to these swirling lows that track down the coast and end up getting stuck just off the coast of Vancouver Island, giving us that swirl in the atmosphere. Anytime we have swirl above, that's a recipe for lightning and thunder. We saw some earlier this evening off the Strait, and also precipitation like hail and graupel. It's also bringing snow overnight, and parts of Metro Vancouver are under the snowfall warning once again. I think this is our fourth in a week, particularly for the North Shore, Coquihalla through Maple Ridge and Pitt Meadows. That's where we'll see the 5 to 10 centimeter mark by tomorrow morning. We could see trace to a couple centimeters, though, right across Metro Vancouver, really just down by sea level, that we won't be getting any precip. So you can see the darker blues towards the North Shore. That's the 10 to 20 bullseye. Down towards Delta, Richmond, Tsawwassen, probably getting away with just some chunky rain. Other than that, precip for everyone through the overnight until tomorrow morning. But watch as that purple lifts as we head into the early hours tomorrow morning. We get a bit of a break, and then some afternoon showers possible as temperatures warm up above the freezing mark. So we've got a couple more of those days ahead in the forecast. Overnight lows drop low enough we could see some wet snow. It's been a cool pattern, and we're not quite done with it yet. Here's the latest swirling low. As I mentioned, it really takes its time getting kicked out of the Pacific Northwest. So that's what supplies us the showery forecast through the weekend and into early next week. Lots of sunshine through the interior, but a reminder that the BC avalanche risk is considerable for much of the province. Even with no fresh storm snow in the interior this weekend. Temperatures cool. We start to warm up to double digits for Tuesday. These sunny breaks, hard to say exactly when they'll happen, as is the case for the showers because of that swirl. A steadier system for Wednesday and Friday. But Janella, I like seeing the double digits. I'm kind of ready for them. I don't know about you.
Absolutely. And I absolutely love, Johanna, how you're always keeping us on our toes when it comes to weather. So thank you so much for breaking all of that down for us. No problem. Well, that is your late news for Friday. Thank you so much for joining us and, of course, watching. For news anytime, visit our website, cbc.ca/BC. Have a great night.